Every year I celebrate the 4th of July, just like millions of other Americans. Baseball, sports, sorry. Just like millions of other Americans. Baseball. Alright, hold on. Alright, just bear with me. Feedback. Alright, sorry. Alright, here we go. Alright, here we go. Every year I celebrate the 4th of July just like millions of other Americans. Fireworks, baseball, sports, freedom. I thought I knew what Independence Day was all about. I thought I knew American history. I thought I knew World War II. Adolf Hitler, Holocaust, concentration camps. But I stumbled across a question asked more than 170 years ago by Frederick Douglass. That question stopped me. What to the American slave is your 4th of July? And it led me to another question. What would freedom have meant to someone like me? I'm black, I'm autistic, my mom was white, my dad was black. I started going balls deep into the matter. What I discovered was a chapter of history I may not have learned in school. A discovery that made me see both history and myself very differently. Tonight, I'm inviting you to take that journey with me. Caution! From the ashes of silence comes a voice that refuses to shut the fuck up. Welcome to Fierce and Fearless with Scoop Nemeth. Welcome to episode 6 of Fierce and Fearless. I'm Scoop Nemeth, and tonight we're to talk about something I never knew about. We're going balls deep into the matter. But first, personal reflection. Every year growing up in Colorado Springs, my hometown, I celebrated July 4th like everybody else. For me, Independence Day wasn't about politics. It wasn't about history. It wasn't even about speeches. It was about having fun, enjoying myself. Back home in Colorado Springs, my family and I would head to Prospect Lake and Memorial Park. Before the fireworks even started, there was a free concert by the Colorado Springs Philharmonic. They always finished with Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture and John Philip Sousa's Stars and Stripes Forever. The cannons would fire, the bells would ring, and the sky would explode with fireworks. As a kid, I thought that was the most badass nights of the entire year. It became a tradition. But then I moved to Denver. The tradition changed, but the celebration didn't. Instead of concerts, I celebrated July 4th with sports. For the first several years of my residency here in Denver, I would go watch the Denver Outlaws play lacrosse outdoors at Bronco Stadium. After the game, a post-game fireworks show. But the Outlaws eventually ceased operations. So where would I get my sports fix on July 4th? Colorado Rockies baseball at Coors Field. Yes, baseball, hot dogs, thousands of fans, and no matter if the Rockies won or lost that game that night, an incredible post-game fireworks show after the game. Like millions of Americans, that's what July 4th meant to me. Fireworks, music, sports, celebrating freedom. I never really stopped to think that much about how someone else might have experienced that same holiday. I never asked myself who wasn't free. Or what did July 4th mean to the people who didn't have those freedoms at all? I celebrated July 4th for more than 4 decades before I came across the question that completely changed how I look at the holiday. A question asked by Frederick Douglass in 1852. What, to the American slave, is your July 4th? I came across a speech that I had heard about, but never actually read. It was delivered on July 5th, 1852, by abolitionist Frederick Douglass. Notice something. Not July 4th, July 5th, 1852. The celebration was over. The fireworks had finished, the speeches had been given, America had spent the day celebrating independence. Then Frederick Douglass stood up and asked a question that challenged the entire nation. What, to the American slave, is your July 4th? I read those words. I stopped. I celebrated Independence Day every year of my life. I'd gone to see fireworks. I've gone to baseball games. I celebrated freedom. But I had never stopped to think. Freedom. For whom? Douglass wasn't attacking the idea of freedom. He believed in freedom. He believed in the promises of the Declaration of Independence. What he challenged was the contradiction. How the fuck could a nation celebrate liberty while millions of black Americans were still enslaved? How the fuck could people celebrate independence while other human beings were denied the very freedoms being celebrated? People of color like me. That was the question Douglass forced America to confront. And nearly 2 centuries later, his words are still being read to this day today. So let me ask you something. How many of you actually read Frederick Douglass's speech? How many of you learned it in school. How many of you ever stopped to ask the same question he asked? What to the American slave is your 4th of July? Reading that speech made me realize something. History wasn't just about memorizing dates. It was about understanding how different people experience the same moment in time. That realization made me ask another question, a more personal one, a much more personal one. If freedom looked different depending on who you were in 1852, what would freedom have meant to someone like me in another period of history? I'm black, I'm autistic, my mother was white, my dad was black. I wanted to know. So I started researching. I went balls deep into the matter. And what I discovered completely changed the direction of this episode. Reading Frederick Douglass changed the way I looked at American history, but it also made me wonder about something else. If freedom depended so much on who you were, what would have happened to someone like me somewhere else in history? So I started going balls deep. I wasn't looking for Adolf Hitler. I wasn't looking for Nazi Germany. I certainly wasn't looking for the Holocaust. I was simply asking one question. What would have happened to a black autistic man if I had born somewhere else at another time? That question took me somewhere I had never expected. Frederick Douglass challenged America to ask who was excluded from freedom. My research led me to another place in history, where an entire government decided some lives were not worth living. Like most people, I thought I already knew the Holocaust, Adolf Hitler, concentration camps, Anne Frank, and Auschwitz. I thought I knew everything. But then, I came across something that really blown me away. Aktion fucking T4. I never heard those two words before. And that discovery hit me like a freight train. Or a 350-pound linebacker. What exactly was Aktion fucking T4? Aktion T4 was a secret Nazi program that targeted many people with disabilities. Adults, children, people living in institutions, people with intellectual disabilities like autism, Asperger's, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, people with psychiatric illnesses. Many people were killed because Nazi officials believed that their lives didn't mean shit. This program became one of the earliest organized killing campaigns carried out by the Nazi regime. As I read more, I couldn't stop asking myself, how did I never learn this? If there was information about this Aktion T4 motherfucker, why the fuck wasn't there anything in our textbook? textbooks about this shit? Or did I just fall asleep in class when our teachers were talking about this? That question would not leave me the fuck alone. I sat there thinking, walking around the park, sitting in the shower, washing my ass in the shower, walking around the park, contemplating a lot. Wait a minute, I'm autistic. If I had been born in Nazi Germany, my disability alone could have placed me in serious danger under Nazi policies. I realized under Nazi ideology, someone with my disability could have been considered a life unworthy of a life. I sat there, staring at my computer, reading a little bit at the library, trying to process all that. At that time, I would have been dead meat. Dead meat. Then I also remembered something else. My father was black. My mother was white. That history stopped feeling distant. It became personal. Not because I was trying to imagine what would have happened to me, but because I realized how dangerous it is when governments begin deciding which lives have value and which lives don't have value. Why the fuck did I not know this? That's the question I just couldn't shake. Did my school simply not have time to cover it? Was it briefly mentioned and I forgot? Why do so many people know about Hitler, yet so few know about the persecution of people with disabilities? Those questions are why this series exists. Because I don't think I'm the only person discovering this piece of history for the very first time. Up until now, I've been talking about history, about Frederick Douglass, about World War II, about Aktion T4, about people whose names I'll probably never know. But then, I stopped thinking about history, and I started thinking about myself. I'm black, I'm autistic, my mother was white, my dad was black. Those aren't just facts about me, they're part of my story. When I first started researching Nazi Germany, I thought I was learning about someone else's history. Then it hit me. It wasn't just somebody else's story anymore. It became personal. I asked myself, what if history placed me somewhere else? Not in Colorado, not in America, but in Nazi motherfucking Germany. I'm not saying I know how exactly what would have happened to me. History doesn't work that way. No historian can say with certainty what would have happened to one particular person. But I do know this. The Nazi regime targeted many people with disabilities through the Aktion T4 program. Black people in Nazi Germany also faced persecution under the Nazi racial ideology. Learning that made me realize how dangerous it becomes when a government decides that some lives are worth more than others. Then I started to think about my own life. I worked. I've competed in Special Olympics. I started a clothing company. I built a podcast. I've met so many incredible people. I've had opportunities because I live in a society that recognizes my right and acknowledges my rights as a person with a disability, even though those rights are not always perfectly realized. That made me appreciate something I had never thought about before. Rights matter. Human dignity matters. History matters. So now I want to ask you something. Has there ever been a moment where you learned something about history that completely changed the way you look at yourself? I'd love to hear your story, because that's exactly what happened to me. The more I researched, the more I realized that this wasn't just about Nazi Germany. This wasn't just about Frederick Douglass. It wasn't just about history. It was about one question. What happens when we stop seeing another human being as fully human? That question still matters today. Still the same fucked up shit we people of color and we disabled folks still face even 250 years later. Tonight, I don't want this just to be about my conversation. I want it to become ours. So now, I open the phone lines. Look at the lower third right here where I'm pointing. Call this number. The live chat is active. I'd like to hear what you think. What did you know about this history? Did you learn something tonight? What questions are you still asking? Give us a call and let's continue the conversation. The live chat is open. The phone lines are open. Come on, give me your best shot. Come on, don't be shy. I'd like to hear what you thought about this eye-opening history lesson that I personally never knew before, what y'all never knew about before tonight. Come on, don't be shy. Hold on a sec. Man, that was some eye-opening stuff. Something I never knew before. Wow. Do. Come on. Man, this is some thought-provoking stuff tonight. Something we never learned in history class. Come on, I want to hear your thoughts. Okay, and... do do. Do 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 do. Bloobity, 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 ow now, brown cow. Ow now, brown cow. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? Do 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 do. Any takers? Do 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 do. Boo 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 boo. Do 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 do. Bleep blue. Do 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 do. Ba ba da ba ba. Hoo hoo hoo. Come on. Give me your best shot, everybody. Do do do. Boo boo boo. Do do do. Do do do. Boo 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 boo. Bloobity 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 bloobity. Ow now, brown cow. Ow now, brown cow. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? All right, anybody want to get in on the conversation? Anybody want to share your thoughts about this thing? You're probably speechless right now because of everything I hit you with tonight. You're probably speechless right now because you're thinking, whoa. Holy titty fucking shitballs. That is some highly intense, mind-blowing stuff. Why didn't my teacher talk about this in history class? Why didn't the teacher talk about anything in American history or world history? That blew you away, didn't it? Do-do. Do-do-do. Boo, boo, boo. Boo, boo, boo. Well, since there are no callers, since nobody wants to jump in, might as well get right to this. Tonight wasn't about having all the answers. Tonight wasn't just about, it was about discovering history. It was about asking questions. It was about learning. But this lesson and discovery is far from over. This self-discovery was only the tip of the iceberg. Part 2 will open a whole new can of intellectual whoop-ass. Part 2 is where this journey changes, because next time I won't be the one asking questions alone. We'll be moving to the main studio here at the Denver Community Media Studios. We will be having 5 guests. 5. Here's the potential panel. A Holocaust historian, disability historian, disability advocate, medical ethicist, and civil rights or Black history scholar. Your voice still matters through live audience discussion and, of course, live call-ins. Because history isn't just something we read in books. It's sometimes history finds us. Tonight, history found me. This series isn't just about making anyone feel guilty for the past. It's about making sure we don't forget the people history almost forgot. And on that note, we close out another exciting, thought-provoking, and intriguing episode of Fierce and Fearless. I'm Scoop Nemeth, thanking you for making us a part of your Friday night. And remember, life is still a difficult bitch, even 250 years later, especially when the world was not exactly built for you. But however you move through the world, do it fierce, do it fiercely, fearlessly. Aight? Until next time, rise like a badass motherfucker. Peace out.